This shir is Le'iloi Nishmas. The series is dedicated to Le'iloi Nishmas Miriam Bas Chaim Eliezer, Alev Shalom, and Yerachmiel Meir Ben Nisim Avraham. Zechron L'Racha. Their neshamas should have an aliyah, and it should be complete healing for all of Am Yisrael, all of Klal Yisrael. Now, I was asked to just introduce myself. Shavua Tov, everyone. Just caught my breath. I was asked to introduce myself. My name is Shai Sussman. I'm a licensed clinical social worker in private practice, working mostly with trauma and trauma-related things. And I also teach as a professor or other in graduate school for the Sarah Schneer Wurzweiler program, not sponsored, and where I have the privilege to teach other therapists. And as well as I give shirim on Rebbe Nachman, Rav Kook. If anyone's interested, my sefer on Navi, Nach Daily, is there for sale afterwards. And I love it here in Eretz Yisrael, and I'm so happy to be here with everyone tonight. So what did I want to speak about tonight a little bit? And I had put a few sources on the sheets. Maybe we'll get to all of it, maybe won't, whatever it is. Either way, it'll be fine. And Purim is right around the corner. We're less than 30 days away from Purim. So I wanted to speak about from, I think what I might call this year, I don't know what we'll call it in the end, but I wanted to talk a little bit about Simcha, and I wanted to talk about anxiety on the other hand. Simcha, happiness, and anxiety, my two favorite topics. And maybe we'll call it from pressure to pleasure, as we get ready for Purim, as we prepared. And what we're going to see tonight is we're going to see from the world of Rav Kook, who is an amazing tzaddik, amazing person for those who are familiar with Rav Kook's writings. And we're also going to see from Rebbe Nachman as well. And it's amazing how they were able to touch on the existential questions of life, fear, happiness, pleasure, pain, suffering, Eretz Yisrael, what's our place in this world? And it's amazing. I've spent many, many years just enthralled by these two tzaddikim. And I'm happy just to share a little bit tonight with everyone. So on the first thing, I don't have a copy myself because I'll just use these sheets over here. I'm going to have the actual sources, but I don't remember exactly where I put them. So the first thing we're going to learn over here, so everyone can see on the paper, it says in Hebrew, hapachad. Now I'm going to translate pretty quickly, and if it's a hard time following along, that's fine. The main thing is outside, how we're going to tie it together and speak about it. So don't worry about every word. You get it, you don't get it. Just, we'll try to see the forest from the trees. And this is from a sefer called Ikvei HaTzon from Rav Kook. Is one of his first svarim published in 1906, 1908. And what he was addressing, the younger generation, the new Zionists, the old Zionists, the new Yishuv, the old Yishuv. But while doing so, I picked a piece or two over here that addresses something that's very humanistic, as Rav Kook was addressing that. So we're going to open up on the negative side, talking about fear and anxiety, and then we're going to interweave it with happiness and simcha, and we'll see where it goes. Okay, so hapachad means fear, anxiety, angst, stress. Stress, who's not stressed? I'm always stressed, I always feel. Fear, right? Fear is a big one. Fear, your nervous system, you feel hypervigilant, you descend into survival mode. And Rav Kook addresses this straight on. Hapachad hanifraz hu nota leziv hachayim shel adam v'shel kol hachaya margish. Fear, anxiety, angst that spreads upon a person, it takes away the joy, the splendor of a man, of a person, and all the ability to feel. Right? A person feels anxiety, it strips all the joy out of life. It puts you into panic. Ein davar rav achzari ba'olam domelo. There's no cruel or bad thing such as that's comparable to fear. Hu magdil es kol haros yoter bein orach mima shehem. It makes everything greater and expounds everything to be catastrophic more than it really is, right? Like, oh my God, that's so bad. It wasn't really so bad, but in your mind, it's, we're building mountains in our mind. Umapil es zoar kol tovos, and it dims the light of any good that a person's received. B'chatiraso asher yachtar mitachas. Asher yachtor mitachas lishosein lahagzim shesan sfuna ra tachas atova goloi. And what it does is anxiety, fear, angst, it exaggerates the difficulties that one has in life, and in lieu of goodness, a person experiences the world of lack of gratitude, lack of happiness, lethargy, angst, worry, depression, person of all the good things in their life. How many times do I hear, I have so many good things, but yet right? There's the end, the but, yeah, but, right? So we have so many good things in our life, but when we're filled with fear, we're filled with anxiety, it seems we're not in line, we're not in alignment, we're not in flow, we're not in harmony with those things. Makor kol chusha v'chol rifayon chomrei mosar v'sachli, and fear and worry become the source of all physical difficulties and mental difficulties. Hu rak hapachad ha'over es gvulo. So regular fear could drive a person mad, right? But then you have fear, when he says that fear goes above and beyond, right? The one that keeps you up at night, the one a person has difficulty sleeping, the insomniac, person's there, worrying, mind racing like a train. Am I the only one this happens to? Am I the only one? Right? Your mind's racing like a train, and you're not sure what to. Hu ya'im ala adam. It spreads out. It scares the person. So the individual feels, I'm worried about being worried. Right? I'm scared of being scared. I'm nervous about being nervous. Shalo yasa kol davar liyeshuaso. And what can I then become defeatist? What can I do to actually help myself? Right? So if there's anything we could do to improve, we find ourselves without the agency and without the ability or wherewithal and desire to actually improve our situation. Shalo yenakif etzbo letzalaso, to the point where we won't even raise a finger to help ourselves. Shema yenazeh, because maybe I'll be hurt. Right? Shema yavi alav ra lo yuchal kapara, maybe something worse will come upon me that I won't be able to fix. Ad shu aso lechalish mala refayon, ad shu matzeles ve'efes maisu nafel b'chora, until a person feels totally hopeless, basically, right? A person experiences anxiety, we experience worry, we experience fear, and we say, woe is to me, oh, another bad thing. Why in the world should I go ahead and try something new? This didn't work out, and that didn't work out, and nothing seems to go my way. And even though I have the ability maybe to improve my situation, I still feel myself without the ability or wherewithal or want or desire to go ahead and anchor myself to gratitude, love, harmony, simcha, and all that is good. And this becomes our experience, as I like to say, when we're wearing red sunglasses, the whole world looks red. There's no convincing me otherwise, right? Shaya in a bad mood is very different than Shaya in a good mood, right? Everything just looks better or worse depending where we are on the mood scale. Now, opposite this, or alongside this, that's fear, right? And I'm trying to set the tone because as we're going to be entering Adar, as we're going to be entering Purim, we've had a lot of this past year with all the wars and all the difficulties and with everything that's happening in the world. Any day they're going to attack, they're not going to attack, are they going to attack, what's going on with Iran, and all these things, and on our own boundaries. So we have even more, the fear is magnified. So because we have such intense fear this past year, that means we're going to have an even better Purim this year, because it's kind of like the slingshot. When you pull all the way back and you let go of that pressure, it catapults you forward. So really, the fear part, I think we're all good at. So we're going to focus on the joy point now. Next up, we have over here from Rav Kook. It's actually from the same sefer. It's called Ha'oneg v'Simcha. Everyone could see it's the next paragraph underneath. Ha'oneg v'Simcha. Means pleasure and happiness, joy. We want more of that. Ha'oneg v'Simcha, pleasure and joy. Heim dvarim uchrachim liot mitlavin ekol esek ruchani. Simcha and joy, we need to bring them in, and they need to accompany all spiritual work that we do. Rak kishiyisaneg ha'adam v'yismach b'masav hatov ve'yashar. Only when a person takes pleasure and is happy with what he does, az yecharetz la'sosam b'tachlis shleimusam. When a person finds pleasure and joy in whatever they're doing, then you find yourself with energy, right? When we have doubt, when we're not enjoying what we're doing, when we have insecurity, we have no energy, right? When we have simcha, when we have energy, then we have clarity, right? We have no clarity, we have no energy. We have no energy, we have no clarity, right? You have sadness, anxiety, worry, you have no simcha. You have simcha, simcha seems to scare away the anxiety in that sense. So we need to bring joy into all things that we're doing. And when we do, then we find ourselves with energy in order to run after mitzvos, build relationships, look after ourselves, do whatever it is that we need to be doing. And to increase and every day do a little bit good. And only then, from joy, does the Shekhinah, the Spirit of Hashem, come upon us. Right? We know that a Navi had to be besimcha. He had to be happy. You didn't want depressed Nevi'im running around. Oh, it's why Hashem. You think Yirmiyah was like, why does Hashem choose me to be the doomsday guy? No, he was doing everything that he was doing. He was obviously still besimcha. He was obviously still happy. I even once heard from a Rav of mine, Rav Steinwurzel. He said that, how do you know that Abraham was besimcha while doing the Akedah? Because right when he was about to shecht his son Yitzchak, he got a nevuah. Don't do it. And we know that a navi only falls upon a person who's happy, who's besimcha. Isn't that amazing? Can you imagine flipping the anxiety into happiness and being so aligned, so in flow, so in tune, and so present-minded that while you're doing something of the greatest proportions, the most difficult test, your inner world is not collapsing, but you're holding yourself, you're holding presence, you're holding state of mind, and you're holding your ability to be aligned with Hashem, be aligned with yourself, and be aligned with the reality that's around you. So when we're besimcha, then the Shekhinah comes upon us. V'ziv kvodo al adam, and a person feels good about themselves, they feel worthy. Ki oz v'ched b'mimkoma, as the pasuk says, joy and splendor is in Hashem's place. V'yazer lo liot neter b'chut shel chen v'chesed. Then a person feels crowned with the string of chen, of charm and kindness. Shimtzo ma'aseh pulasov gam chen be'enei kol brios. Then a person finds charm in other people's eyes, right? Because you attract what you see, right? However you are, you put that energy out. You put negative energy out in the world, and it's like, I want to stay away from him, I want to stay away from her. They're just negative, right? But you put out good energy in the world, you put out Shekhinah energy, you put out divine energy, or you put out happy energy, it's an attraction, it's a magnet. It draws people right towards you. So, v'yetzu gam mehem midracha v'tarba bracha v'tova ba'olam. And then, of course, if you feel good, you bring that goodness and that joy to other people. It has a ripple effect. You bring it to your loved ones, you bring it to your families bring it to the community, you bring it to the community, you bring it to the world, you bring it to all of humanity, right? So when we're thinking, when we're so focused on the anxiety, when we're so focused on the negative, we lose the simcha, we lose the oneg. On the other hand, we need to fight so hard. And we're going to talk about practical steps about how to do this. We're just setting the stage, right? But when we feel happy and we take pleasure in the things that we do, we don't feel that things are a burden, right? How many things come up, we're like, another engagement, another thing I have to do, how many eye rolls do we have, right? And we're feeling the lachats, we're feeling the stress of it all. But when we enjoy what we do, when we're working from a place of alignment, where we're working from a place of worth, we're working from a place of joy, so then it doesn't become a burdensome anymore. It doesn't become, we go from I need to I want to. From I have to I would like to. Right? Sounds good, right? I think we've all been there. We've all gone through these cycles. These are the cycles, right? These are the cycles that we've all been through, right? And I know for myself, in one day, I could go back and forth between these states, right? But certainly as we go towards Purim, that's what I was thinking, we're maybe 3 weeks away, right? P, I know my kids are counting down for the Super Bowl. They're counting I'm like counting down towards Purim, you know? So as we're counting down to Purim, what do we want to do? We want to sharpen our lens even more, an oneg v'simcha. We want to move in the direction and catch ourselves, repair ourselves and hear ourselves and move in to enjoyment, enjoying the things that we do. Continuing in Rav Kook, Rak kishiyesh oneg v'simcha pnimit belev. Only when there is joy and happiness in our hearts, mitzorfim l'maisa hatov tzedek. Then that it co-joins together with everything that we do. Az heim misvasasim ba'adam lios kavua b'darchei ha'el hatov baruch hu. Then a person feels good and they feel aligned with Hashem. Umimekor nafsho yimtza mayim chayim. Nozlim la'askilo v'adricho ba'orchos ha'chayim. Right? And then what happens is a person's inner wisdom from the depths of their soul begin to flow out like effervescent waters, like a mayan. You see the mayanim here, they're just constantly flowing. So when a person attaches joy and simcha, then your inner wisdom starts to show up. That inner flow, that inner know-how, that inner knowledge that we all have inside of us starts to show up for ourselves more, right? As I always like to think, when I think of worth, and they always talk about self-esteem. It's like one of these nebulous words, self-esteem, right? So when I think about worth, what's one of the big things that take a person out of their worth? Is shame. A person's hustling for their worth. I don't feel good enough. I don't feel respectable enough. I don't feel honorable enough. I feel bad about myself. So a person lives in a shame paradigm, right? And the shame stops the worth. So when people say, how do I work on worth? One of the things I always say, well, stop shaming yourself. And the worth organically flows from within. When we stop hustling out of fear, out of anxiety, when we stop saying, I'll be successful when, right? Everyone has that thing. That's us hustling for our worth, right? When you see you're already successful now, then we stop shaming ourselves, and our worth automatically begins to flow from within ourselves. We wind up feeling more feeling for life. We feel better about ourselves and less concerned about hustling and impressing everybody else. So Rav Kook is saying that when we attach pleasure and simcha to ourselves, so that inner wisdom starts to show up, our inner worth, our inner value starts to show up more for ourselves. Now he switches gears a little bit, Rav Kook. But you should know all thoughts and feelings that come out from pressure, Muaka, pressure, distortion, back to the worry. We know that, right? All things that come out of stress that a person needs to do. Whether it's physical stress, or spiritual stress, it's not complete. We put distortions, we put anxiety, we put all sorts of things into our mitzvahs, we put all sorts of things into our relationships. And when we do that, it's not complete because we're acting from a place of pressure, we're acting from a place of survival, and we're not acting from a place of joy and simcha. We're not acting from a place of flow, from a place of alignment. So again, he's saying over here that when a person acts out of fear, out of distortion, so then what we do, it doesn't have the same desired effect, right? So how much more so do we need to grab simcha? Do we need to grab happiness? Do we need to work on our self-awareness to see how much we're operating in these places? And then, as I always say, like a person walks around with a headache, right? A person's got a headache. So I say, like, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, you know? Of course you have a headache. You're hitting yourself in the head all day long. Oh, I am? I didn't realize. Let me put it down, right? So a person is running themselves down with fear, worry, and anxiety all day long, and then they wonder why they have a headache, right? So the point is that when we stop running chronic, stressful, and negative thinking through our minds, then the joy begins to resurface. We're able to attach ourselves to simcha, to happiness, to unity, to divineness, to pleasantness, all things associated with what we want more on in our lives. This is awesome so far? This is amazing? Should we stop for questions for a moment, or should we continue to move a little bit forward?
Continue.
We'll continue a little forward, okay. So next we have up on the same page, we have over here, this is a piece from Nekuda Tova. This is Rebbe Nachman of Breslov, one of his most famous lessons. And the truth is, on this lesson alone, we could spend an entire semester giving classes just on this lesson, its implications, what he means. This is just one paragraph. It's a few pages long. And just to set the stage, Rebbe Nachman says that a person needs to judge people favorably, right? Even a Russia. He says, Tzarich ledanis kol adam lechavschus afilu mishu rasha gamar. Right? A person needs to judge everybody favorably, even a person's a Russia. Why? Because it's impossible that the Russia never did one good thing in his life. Right? It's pretty wild, right? I was thinking, I remember a long time ago I read a book about the Jewish mafia. It was called Murder Incorporated, the book. I read it, I was in high school, and it's coming to mind right now, I don't know why, And they had over there about Dutch Schultz and Meyer Lansky and Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, right? All the fine Jews, Baruch Hashem, right? And I think what the book was actually called, it was called But He Was Good to His Mother, But he was good to his mother, right? So how's it possible that Russia, a Jew, didn't do one good thing, but he was good to his mother, right? They were doing all sorts of other things, right? You have Bugsy and Meyer Lansky, all these people, they're doing other things, but he was good to his mother, right? So everyone has a perfect point inside of themselves that is completely pure, that is completely good, that is completely holy. Now, it could be the rest of them is not so great. What'd you say?
It's called a neshama.
A neshama. Everyone has a neshama. In Rebbe Nachman's lesson, he calls us a Nekuda Tova. Everyone has a Nekuda Tova. Everyone has a Nekuda Tova. Everyone has a good point. And in that good point is completely pure. It doesn't necessarily mean the entirety of their lives is totally righteous, but everyone has something they excel in. Everything has something that's good about themselves. Everyone has something that's right. We know what's wrong. We want to focus our consciousness on what is right. So everyone has something right about themselves. Now, what Rebbe Nachman does is, he starts with other people. He says you have to judge other people favorably. And he says an amazing thing because he says, l'kaf schus, you have to judge them l'kaf schus. What does kaf schus mean? Like a scale. There's a kaf schus and a kaf chova. Right? There's a guilty side and there's a meritorious side. So when you find someone's Nekuda Tova, when you find the point of purity inside themselves, and in that point they're completely pure, you bring them mikaf chova, from the guilty side, mikaf schus, to the meritorious side, to the side of goodness, to the side of joy. Yes?
Was he referring to really Rishonim Gemurim like Hitler, Yamach Shema?
So I wouldn't start with the hardest example ever. Certainly, I couldn't find anything good about Hitler, Primarily, he was talking about Jews, because what he said was, certainly, I don't think he'd find anything good in Hitler. I think it's safe to say that, primarily he was Jews, because what did he say? He said that a person starts to look at themselves, and he say, okay, I want to be happy, right? I want to be happy. I want to feel good. Like Rav Kook said, anxiety that we know of. Okay, I should join Simcha and turn my attention. But how do I do that? So I want to make myself happy. So I'm going to say, okay, I kept Shabbos. Right? Kept Shabbos. He said, yeah, but I could have done it better. And I don't know all the halachas. I haven't learned them in a long time. And I slept half the Shabbos. And I got into an argument with this one. And I came late to shul. And I couldn't wait for it to end. Right? So you start looking at your mitzvahs, and what do? We find flaws. We find holes in our mitzvahs. So it comes out the thing that's supposed to make us happy winds up creating shame and makes us not happy, because you say, okay, look, I know so much, but what did I really accomplish? I read in the books, I read stories of tzaddikim about the levels that they reached on Shabbos. They say a story about a tzaddik, the Ber Mayim Chaim, who was a student of the Baal Shem Tov. He's buried in the old cemetery in Tzfas. They say on Shabbos he was physically a head taller. If you look this way on Shabbos, whoop, he was physically a head taller. So you read, I'm not a head taller on Shabbos, So you look at the mitzvahs that we do, and we say, I gave tzedakah. Yeah, but I did it because I know the person. Yeah, but I would think about breaking. He kept kosher. In Beit Shemesh, you couldn't even find not kosher food in Beit Shemesh. So what's the big deal? I wear my kippah. Yeah, I'd be embarrassed not to wear my kippah, right? So we start looking at our mitzvahs and we start looking at the good deeds that we've done, and we start saying, well, what's it really worth? What did I really do, right? So what Rebbe Nachman teaches is, even so, we have to sift deeper and deeper and deeper, and we have to find the Nekuda Tova even in our mitzvahs. We have to find the joy, the simcha. We have to take our mitzvahs out of the garbage can, and we just throw them in the garbage can, take our mitzvahs out of the garbage can, polish them up, and bring them to Hashem. And he says the main point of doing that is, this is what I was saying before, that we're created Jews. If you think about, you go fruit shopping here in Israel, and not all fruit stores are the same. Some have better produce, some not a good produce, And out of all the produce in the world, Hashem picked us and put us in his basket, right? That's Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Amim V'Nasa Lanu Toraso. What?
I'm saying it's a beautiful marriage.
Right. My family's told me I've been a bit fruity, but other than that, so the point being is that to our ultimate Nekuda Tova is the fact that we were created Jews. The Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Amim, and the reason why that is is because there's nothing we've done necessarily to earn that. It's just fact. Because everything else is man-made, manufactured, right? Not manufactured in Taiwan or China, right? This is manufactured by Hashem. Hashem chose this for us, right? So by virtue of the fact that we're created Yidden, it's something indestructible. Because anything that is made by man, okay, I did something, it could be filled with ulterior motives, it cannot be filled with ulterior motives, right? But nevertheless, if it's done by Hashem, it's totally pure, right? It's totally pure, and that's the ultimate of self-worth, right? Ultimate of self-worth is not tying my worth to other things, outsourcing myself, right? That's the ultimate of joy. The ultimate of joy is to find what's right about myself, not to find what's wrong about myself, right? To see what I'm good at. And the ultimate is that Hashem chose us to be part of His amazing nation. And I even add on to that more. And He's brought us to Eretz Yisrael. He's brought us to Eretz Yisrael. Every day, Rebbe Nachman called the air of Israel the Avira Zach V'nach. He's used the Yiddish term, the clean, rarefied, delicious, pure air of Ramat Beit Shemesh. Especially here, we're on the top of Dolev, it's even fresher than on the bottom of the hill, right? So Baruch Hashem, we get to be here in Eretz Yisrael after 2,000 years. What greater Simcha? What greater Simcha? It's an amazing ability. So we need to find, but I live here and maybe it'd be better someplace else and it's harder here. You find yourself kvetching maybe at times, right? But nevertheless, we need to take our mitzvahs, pull them out of the garbage, and we need to find the Nekuda Tovas. We need to find the joy. We need to find the good things in ourselves. And this is what, reading from Rebbe Nachman over here. V'chein tzarech ha'adam limtsoa gam ba'atzmo. And so too, a person needs to find it in himself. Ki zeh yadua, because this is known, shetzarech adam lezaher miyod lios b'simcha tamid, u'laharchik ha'atzvos ma'od ma'od, because we know a person needs to always reach for simcha constantly and distance themselves from sadness, like we've explained many, many times. When a person starts to look at themselves and they say, I have no good left, I have the fear, the pachad, comes onto them, and they say, I have no redeemable qualities, and I'm full of averos. Chas v'shalom, and the Yetzer Hara wants to take you down through depression, through sadness, through worry, anxiety, and fear. Hafal pikein, aser lo lipol mizeh. Nevertheless, do not fall from this. He says it's aser. It's aser to fall from this. V'rak sarich, we need to sarich lechapes, search, v'limtsoa, and find. Ba'atzmo eze ma'at tov. We need to find that little bit of good, the modicum of good inside ourselves. Ki eich efshar shelo asa miyamav eza mitzvah udavar tov. It's impossible. How is it possible that you never did a good deed or a mitzvah in your entire life? Right? The most irreducible point, the Nekuda Tova, right? But he was good to his mother, right? If you take a dot, think of a dot in Nekuda Tova, just make a dot on a piece of paper. How many lines can you split that into? Infinity. Infinity. There's no end. That our most reducible point, our Nekuda Tova, is infinite. It's infinite. It's indestructible. It's like a diamond. It's indestructible, right? It's indestructible. So our Nekuda Tova, our good point, is filled with joy. It's filled with simcha. It's filled with happiness. But we need to turn our consciousness to that and observe the good that already lies within ourselves. Because it's impossible that, certainly in this room, everyone's filled with mitzvos. Like it says, Malay mitzvos karimon, we're filled with pomegranates. But even so, even if you find yourself sinning, how is it possible you never did a good thing? You helped someone across the street, helped them with their groceries, did a good thing, called a family member, smiled at someone, right? You must have done something good, right? And how many good things do we do a day that we devalue? How many good things do we do in an hour? Right? The Gemara says, Yashav velo asa avera ki'ilu asa mitzvah. If you sat and you didn't do an avera, it's as if you did a mitzvah. Did you kill anyone today? I didn't. Wow. It's incredible. Right? It's an amazing thing. Right? Well, maybe if I had my car, but I didn't drive because it was Shabbos. That's even better. I kept Shabbos, right? So you're going to find the good thing you do. You're going to find that thing. You're going to look at the thing you did, say, yeah, but I did it for alternative reasons. This thing that you were zoche to do, it's also filled with alternative reasons, sadness, stress, anxiety, and pressure. Nevertheless, it's impossible that there's not a good thing in it. However it is, Nekuda Tova. Of course, there's a Nekuda Tova in the good thing that you've done. So a person needs to focus, we all need to focus on our good points. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. We need to focus on our good points, right? We need to focus on our Nekudas Tovos in order to bring ourselves to Simcha. Now, Rebbe Nachman goes on to explain how this is called making music. I know we're going to end a little early because I know that there's another shir. Am I okay on time? I don't want to keep people late for the other shir, right? And Rebbe Nachman called this making music. This is Jewish music. They call this making Jewish music. Why? Because I happen to play several instruments, and when you make music, Rebbe Nachman calls it your malaket, mavar, the ruach ra from the ruach tov. You clarify each note. This is a down note. This is a happy note. This is a sad note. And what's a good composition that's able to contrast the happy and the sad, the good and the bad, right? So you're contrasting. You're pulling out the good notes from within yourself. You're making Jewish music, negune de kedusha, holy Jewish music, by finding the good in yourselves. Just like a symphony has a crescendo and a high part and a low part, right? So too, we're doing this inner sifting work. We're looking at our parts and we're wondering, what does this part want and what does that part want, and how's this part a protector and how this part not a protector, and this part's a firefighter and this part's running here. And then we're seeing all our parts are ultimately coming to help us, right? Why is the fear there? Because the fear there is to teaching me that I should not be in this situation or do something good to take care of myself, right? If a bear is attacking you, it's good to have fear. You want to run away. There's a message there. There's something there for it to teach you. And then you take the good, you look deep within yourself, you find your Nekudas Tovos, and now you take the sadness and you're mahapich it to Simcha, right? It's like people dancing in a circle, right? People dancing, and so there's one person outside. No, I'm not going to dance. You can't make me, right? You bring that person into the circle, and now they flip to happiness too. So when we make Negune de Kedusha, when we make Jewish music, we're malaket the Ruach Tov from the Ruach Ra. By finding our Nekudas Tovos, we do this inner sifting process, and we find the good in ourselves, and one by one, we take out the Jewish music. We take out the notes. We have an 8th note, then we find the 16th note, right? And then we have a 32nd note, right? And we keep pulling out the notes, creating the music of our lives and the story of our lives, and then we come dancing into Purim, right? We become dancing into Purim, right? Because we go from shifting from pressure to pleasure, right? We're shifting from the pressure of I have to and I need to I would like to and I want to, and I'm bringing something forth. I'm bringing something new to the world. Right? I have something that I'd like to bring to the world, not because I have to and I need to, not coming from a place of desperation, but coming from a place of inspiration, right? Moving away from survival mode into joy, into happiness, into Purim. Now, people said I need to stop by a certain time. Should I continue? Would you like me to wind down? Tell me.
We can wind down.
We can wind down? Okay, excellent. So anyways, I'm not going to go through the rest of the sources here, which is totally fine. You can live your whole life just based on this. And let us be zocha to have real negune kedusha, to have real Jewish simcha, by finding one by one, taking our mitzvahs out of the trash, finding what's good about ourselves. And as Rav Kook is saying, to bring oneg v'simcha into everything, to fight back on the fear, fight back on the anxiety, the existential angst, and bring the oneg and simcha into everything, and do Yiddishkeit not out of guilt, not out of pressure, right? But out of happiness. What could be better? What could be better than being a frum Jew in Eretz Yisrael at the time and place that we're living in? Nothing could be better. I promise. There are more people learning in yeshivas now since the time of Chezkiyahu. Right? Think about that. right? There's 7 million Jews here back in Eretz Yisrael, right? What an unbelievable thing. What an unbelievable thing. I was speaking at my shul Kiddush today, and one of the things I said, I recently finished Sefer Yechezkel, and at the end of Sefer Yechezkel, it talks about this water that's going to come from underneath Har Habayis, and it describes Yechezkel walking in this water, and first it's ankle deep, then it's waist deep, and then it's head deep. Yechezkel chapter 47, right? And it's head deep, and anything this water touches heals. It's the healing water. And this stream actually there is a stream now under Har Habayis, because we're preparing for the biggest dancing of our lives. We're preparing for the biggest Simcha. We're preparing for the biggest Purim. We're preparing for the biggest Purim. Now, I don't know if it's exactly this Purim, it might be next Purim, but that's it, right? We're at the end and we're winding down and we're living in the most amazing times. So instead of going from pressure and guilt and worry and anxiety, let's go to pleasure and enjoy, happiness and Simcha. Shvu Tov. Okay. What? Too short? I was told I need to stop by a certain time. That's fine.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.